welcome to Revelations Through Language, the channel where we look into the deeper meanings behind the phrase and words that we use today through the lens of faith. Come with me as we embark on a journey to discover the truth.
Hi all, welcome back to Revelations Through Language. Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for tuning in once again. So today we're going to be going through something that I learned recently that I wanted to share with everyone, and that's something that's really helped my life and just made it very peaceful and helped me avoid a lot of needless arguments. And that's just taking people as they are rather than as you want them to be. So to set the scene, this originated from a little misunderstanding or a little argument, we can say, that I had with my mum. And I've done this all my life, really, up until recently, up until finding God and understanding these things. There's something that I've coined it, the injustice trap. So when you feel you've been hard done by, you fall into a trap and you get all defensive yourself and frustrated with the behavior of the other person. And then I realized a mistake that I'd been making all along after I stumbled across this. So instead of feeling like you justice or injustice has been done against you, I realized, you know what? People are just doing what they see, and that's why they behave the way they do. And instead of trying to change that person's behavior, let me just take them for as they are, instead of trying to subject them to my feelings or how I see things. Because I'm also doing the same thing. I'm also behaving how I see things. And then that's when I decided, from that moment in time when I understood that, is for me to just take people as they are. So what the person shows me, especially if they've shown me that more than once, I have to take them for who they are rather than trying to force my own standards on them or what I believe on them, because then that makes me the bad guy, really. And so after I made that decision, it made my life very easy. And when someone does something that they're not capable of or they are capable of, I just take them as they are, and it avoids a lot of arguments, as I've said. But the word that later on came to me, and I realized this literally says it in the word, was to take things at face value. So if you go into a supermarket and you see mangoes, so you can tell mangoes are on my mind at the moment. If the mango says £2 or $2 or whatever your local currency is, you take that mango at face value. You don't go over and try to argue the price down in a supermarket, especially. You just take it as it is. And when you take things as they are, it makes things very easy and very straightforward. And that's when I realized the word face value actually says it all. So within the word face value, if you break it down, we've got two words in there, of course. So we've got face and then we've got value. So when I'm talking about values of value, we're talking about the person's principle or standard of behavior. So people's values and their morals are always on display. So obviously, face being what you display, what you see. So I've actually got to give a bit of thanks to my very dear friend Mirat, who helped me kind of describe what I was saying when I initially came across this and said this to him. So I told him about how people's values are always on show. And then when I told him about the face, and he was like, "Oh, display," and I was like, "Ah, that makes a lot more sense, and it's even more descriptive." So yeah, so people's values and their morals and principles are always on display. They show you what they think, and they show you what they're capable of. But the mistake a lot of us make, or I've made myself in the past, is because we think our standards are higher than the other person and what they're displaying, that it's also good for them to have our standards, which is actually, in hindsight, very selfish, because you can't change people's actions. You have to accept them for who they are and what they can do. And once you start doing that, it makes life a lot more easier. So don't try to enforce your standards on someone, even though those standards may well actually be high and be better for that person. But that's not for you to judge. Just because those standards are good for you, how do you know that other person on the receiving end wants to change? And how do you know they're not happy with what their values are already? And that's the mistake that a lot of us make. We fall into the trap of thinking because our values or standards are better, they're also better for you. But that actually makes us the selfish ones, because we're trying to change someone rather than change ourselves. So when you start taking things at face value, sorry, and start taking people at face value and as they are, instead of subjecting them to your own feelings, you see people for who they truly are. And once they show you a few times, just accept them for who you are. And that will avoid a lot of needless arguments. And also, once you accept people for who they are, that also enables them to change for the better, because they see that, okay, despite my faults and despite my standards being lower than you, this person isn't judging me and trying to change me or condemn me. This person is taking me as I am. So let me even raise my own standards. And by default, you won't that person starts changing because of the love that you're giving them, and you're treating them as who they are rather than who you want them to be. So once when someone shows you who they are, believe them, take them at face value, and even if their standards are lower than yours, let your actions and how you treat them and love them bring their standards up.
Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. In the meantime, check out some of my other deep dives. Until the next one, God bless.